Welcome back to the Polish the Mirror podcast, episode number 13. Today we're lucky number 13. I am so glad you're here. Thank you for joining me. If you are watching or listening, I appreciate your support so much. If this is the first one that you have caught, you can catch the others. Just search for hashtag Polish the Mirror podcast. They are streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, all the things. You can find them. Just search hashtag Polish the Mirror podcast and you can find them out there. And then I upload them to the podcasting platforms. So just you can find them. If you need help, let me know, reach out to me. I'll be happy to point you in the right direction. So this podcast, like I said, if this is your first one, is a direct reflection of my life. I have lived the past 10 years with a broken neck and been able to find hope in the midst of that. And so I decided to create a platform where others could also share their experience of finding hope in the midst of adversity. And so that's what this is all about. Finding hope, allowing people to share their stories, because it's such an important thing to own our stories and be able to share them. And so I'm so excited to introduce you to my friend and amazing human today. This is Dr. Tanya English, the Soul Chiropractor. Tanya, thank you so much for being here. Like, oh my gosh.
Thank you for having me. I brought flowers.
Yeah, I
They
love
look
that.
giant, but they're normal size.
You have the giant flowers.
The giant daffodils.
Tanya and I, oh my gosh, it's been probably a year. Has it been a year? It hasn't quite been a year.
No, I would say
since we were
quite a year. Yeah.
First introduced to each other, but oh my gosh, just totally resonated when the first time I heard her speak, just totally resonated with me. And I was like, I need to know this person. Like, she needs to be my friend. And I've been able to work with her and collaborate with her. And oh my gosh, I'm just telling you, you're in for a treat today. So excuse me, buckle up, because she always drops the best wisdom nuggets. That's the only way I know how to put it. That just leave my mind blown. And I love that. So I'm going to quit gushing over you, Tanya, and just let you take it. If you would be so kind as to share your
I really
experience
appreciate
of finding hope.
I really appreciate you. I appreciate Polish the Mirror. I just love that it's really not about who you are. It's about how you see yourself and what is reflecting to you. So very interesting that this is the 13th episode, and I'll tell you why. Because on the 13th, the Saturday, that's the 30th anniversary of our son's birth, his stillbirth.
Oh my word!
So his birthday is the 13th, and this is the 13th episode, and we did not plan this at all.
We did not
to show up like that, but I'm going to tell you the story about what happened.
I have chills.
So, yeah, isn't that interesting how spirit shows us the way? We don't even know it.
I know.
It's amazing to me. I use very generic terms for God, like source or spirit, because there's so many people who get triggered by other words that people use. And it's not because I'm against that. I know who my audience is, and I know that they need to be. It needs to be gentle. It needs to be very, very gentle. So that's why I'll use those words. Okay. So 30 years ago, probably today, I went into labor with our first child together. My husband and I were newlyweds, and he had 2 daughters from his previous marriage. And we were really looking forward to our son being born. And it was just kind of an amazing experience all the way around. I had never had a baby before, and he had helped deliver 2. So I was like, okay, I'm all set. I had a lot of angst about like actually letting the baby come out and opening that much for that to happen. So I was doing a lot of healing work. I was also in my last couple trimesters of chiropractic college. So I've been getting really good care, and we were going to have the baby at home with midwives, and the midwives were wonderful. And then things just did not set up right, and labor kept going on and off, and later we could not find his heartbeat. So we went to the hospital that was up the street, and they put us on the ultrasound, and we knew exactly what we were looking at as soon as we saw it. We were looking at a still heart, and he had already
Oh,
passed. And this changed a lot of people's lives, let me say that. But as we're sitting there looking at this, I turned to my husband and I said, "Are we okay?" Because that's the kind of thing that makes people want to split. And he said, "No,
yes.
we're fine. We can do this." And I was like, "Good. Okay. I have to think about that." And in the hospital bed, they gave me all the interventions I never wanted to have, Pitocin and epidural, and got to get that baby out, which he would have come out naturally
Right.
anyway eventually, but you're in the hospital. So
Right.
they're doing all these interventions, and actually before that happened, the medical doctor came in and started giving us a hard time about what we had done, and
Oh,
saying, like, "You've been led down the garden path, and these midwives don't know what they're doing." Well, the midwives I had been doing this for many years and had never lost a baby or a mom
mhm.
after hundreds of births. And so I was like, "What are you trying to tell me? That this is my
Yeah.
fault?" So
Right.
immediately went to shame and blame about what we were doing. And my mother-in-law, who's a pastor, followed her into the break room and said, "What is your problem? These
Mhm.
people are in trouble and you're not helping. You're making them feel worse." And she said, "Oh, it's just been a really hard day." She said, "Well, you're off the case and we'll get somebody else. Don't come back in the room."
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
I love my mother-in-law. She's passed on now, but she helps me all the time. But it was
Oh.
just an amazing experience. And we had a couple of friends that came over to see us while we were in the hospital. One of my best friends held my baby. Um, and we named him
Mhm.
Edward Oliver English after his dad. And my mother's side of the family, my side of the family, my dad's middle name is Oliver. My mother's maiden name was Oliver. So we had
Oh.
Oliver, Edward Oliver, and we called him Eddie-O, Eddie-O Spaghetti-O,
Oh.
because I'm Tanya
Oh.
Lasagna, Eddie Spaghetti, because we're silly like that. It gets
Well,
sillier
you can
though.
laugh ab yeah, you just
Well, yeah, you
laugh.
have to, because keeping it a
Yeah.
secret and not talking about it is really the best way to make things really bad for yourself, because holding a grudge against yourself, like the blame and the shame, not healthy. Mm-mm. That will lead to dis-ease for sure.
Yes.
So we came home without the baby, and my neighbor came over and she brought me a beautiful sage plant in a pot. And she was like, "Can I see the baby?" And I said, I'm sorry, but the baby didn't make it." And just to see
Mm.
people's faces fall when I told them that was pretty difficult. And actually, she had brought me this fresh sage plant, and the next thing that happened was my milk came in, and that was a whole new wave of upset and sadness and grief. And
Yeah.
lo and behold, eating sage will dry your milk up. So I happen to have a
Wow.
sage plant right there. So I was eating the leaves of the sage plant, and that's what it did. So that was another weird thing. I remember looking at myself in the mirror and going, "I am vibrating at a different frequency than I was before. This is really different."
Mm.
Anyway, back up. While I was in the hospital bed, I had a thought, and these are thoughts that come from source. Do you really believe everything happens to the highest good? Or are you just saying that because it sounds nice? Because this is not good.
Mm.
There's no way this could be good. And I went down that road for a little bit in my imagination. Okay, I'm not going to believe that. Ooh, that was awful. That was an awful road. I could have checked out of finishing school. I could have checked out of my marriage. I could have checked out. Nobody would wonder why. There was the perfect excuse
Right.
to just, I'm going to go live in a hospital for a while.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that. So it's like, yeah, I think I'm going to believe that everything happens to the highest good. So Show me the good. Let's bring it on. Let me see it.
Yeah. Bring it
Well,
on. Yeah.
right next to me on my left was my husband who had been helping me breathe through the over medication that they did, where I would exhale and then not breathe for another minute. He'd say, "Take a breath in, honey." There he was,
Wow.
nurturing me, saving my life basically, and going through it too. And he was just so caring and loving, and I couldn't have made it without him. And we like to save each other's lives. And so I'll tell you about that in a minute. But
Sure.
remind me if I forget, because
Okay.
we can't. So we're in this space of like, show me the good. My friend Simone comes over. She holds my baby. She loves my baby. We dress him. We get him ready. My parents, my
Mm.
in-laws who are there, because my parents live far away, are both pastors. We dedicate Eddie to God. We make sure that he's
Mm.
covered that way. And it was really hard for them to do that, especially my father-in-law. He's like, I don't think I can do
Mm.
this. And my mother's like, you're doing it. Get in there. So
You don't have a choice.
yeah, we're doing this right now. So we had this very short time with him, because after we did all that and we held him, and I really didn't want to let him go, it just
Wow.
felt like it's time. It's time for him to go. So my husband took him, um, where they were going to take care of his body. And we went home, and blocks away from the hospital. So we went home, and it was just the weirdest thing to have all the baby things there, and he's not with us. And I walked around with a buckwheat hull pillow for a few days, and I would just pick it up every so often and walk around with it and hold it because it was the weight of the baby.
Mm.
And the buckwheat hulls kind of move around, so it was really good for me to have that, because I could feel like I need to hold. This is all very much ingrained in us, in many people. Now, not all women have this experience, but some of them have, a very distressing, depressing experience. And I can see why that is, because it's you change, you just completely change. And people that don't have children, they don't have that kind of experience, but they have other ones that are similar to that.
Right.
But
Right.
pushing another life out of your body is definitely an experience. So we're standing there
Yeah.
in our apartment, and we have all these windows that are facing the Mississippi River. This is in Davenport, Iowa. And all of a sudden, a blue balloon floats by the windows. It doesn't go up, it just floats all the way across the windows. And I looked at Ed and I said, "Did you see that?" And he said, "Yeah." We went outside to look and see if there were any parties going on. Nothing going on. Very quiet.
Mm.
And at that time, when that balloon went by, I just felt like, okay, he's okay. He's
Yeah.
fine. This is okay. We're all going to die. Some people die
Right.
when they're little, some people die when they're old. And this is how I explained it to the little girls who were waiting for their new baby brother. It's going to happen, and it's not bad at all, because we get to go to heaven. We get to have all the fun,
Mhm.
and it's okay. It's really okay. You have to get
Mm.
really comfortable with death if you're going to accept it, because that's what we had to do.
Yeah.
We had to accept that this is what was happening after all this time and effort and everything that we put into this our relationship and our baby, and to have him not be there. So it was a lot. And then
Yeah.
I just said, God, just put me where I need to be for healing. I don't care where it is. We were visiting my family back east, and we were swimming in my aunt's pool. This is why I'm in love with this man. He said, let's go through every day of the month and think of something fun or something good that happens on that day. He said, "What happens on the 1st that's really good?" I said, "Oh, that's my sister's birthday, December 1st." "Okay, what happens on the 2nd?" So we were going through the days of the month thinking of wonderful things that would happen on those days. It was really
Mm.
amazing. And then later in the summer, we were at the Mississippi Valley Blues Festival, which is right across the river from where we live. And we had been going to that. In fact, we almost met at that blues festival 2 years before, and we met the week
What?
after. That's a whole nother
Wow.
story. But
Yeah.
but we were there together, but hadn't met yet. So we went to the festival, and I wanted to go to the tent stage. There's a main stage and a tent stage, and they go main stage, tent stage, and they would go off of at separate times. At that time, they were the same. They would have an act on the tent stage and an act on the main stage at the same time. And I wanted to go to the tent stage because the Blind Boys of Alabama were playing, and I wanted to hear them because they moved me. And I went
Oh,
into that tent stage and I had a healing like I've never had before. And
wow.
I just felt waves and waves and waves of love flowing through me and really getting to understand the vastness of love that is there available for us if we allow it
Yes.
and if we line up into it. And it's just huge. The other time that I've had that experience is in Sedona, where I'm laying on the rock between Courthouse Rock and Bell Rock. And I hear a voice say, "Do you get it now? Do you get it? Love is
Mm.
the rock. It never moves. It gets
Oh,
rained on, it gets snowed on, darkness, cold, heat, doesn't matter. The rock is still there." And that's what I was feeling in that tent stage. I was just feeling that as a wave. I came out of there and we met in the middle, and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, I am really, really okay."
oh,
Beautiful experience. Now, that doesn't mean the grief ends. I mean, I'll have times now, like we're going to celebrate his life on Saturday. And what I say is that he was very, very efficient. So in 9 months, he did the work that he was supposed to do to be here.
mm.
And that's a lot. It was a lot that he did. He helped me heal from years of childhood sexual abuse, sexual assault, and that following me into my adulthood and me saying, "Okay, I'm done. I'm going to clear this up," going into therapy twice a week, doing that, and then going down that healing road as a massage therapist and then as a chiropractor, knowing that these things are affecting people. They're affecting me, obviously. So fast forward about 25 years. Now we have another son. We have the two girls. Our son now is 28 years old. And we didn't think of him as a rainbow baby. I know that people like that term for the baby, but I did not want to define him by anything that had happened before him because that's not
Mm.
fair to him.
Yeah.
He's new here.
Oh,
And maybe he's actually that soul coming again. So who
I
knows,
wondered
right?
that. Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
find out later. Maybe we'll find out later. But
Right.
but the fact is that he's his own person. So I didn't want to put any of that kind of definition
For
on
sure.
him.
Yeah.
So so
Yeah.
25 years later, okay, so I've started a blues band. I started the band right when I turned 50. And it was kind of a funny thing because I would come in and sing every so often with my husband's band, and people would be like, "Yay, okay." And then when I would show up, they would start asking me, "Are you going to sing tonight? You going to sing?" And I was like, "Oh, they really want me to sing. Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
Okay."
yeah.
So our friends started bugging us, kind of like, "Why aren't you guys doing something together?" So I said to Ed, "Do you want to do a band with me?" I'd never been in a band. I'd been in
Yeah.
choir in high school, and I'd been a theater major. So I was in production, but I had done all the acting and directing and all that stuff too. So I knew my way around a stage, show business. And so he said, "Yeah, we could do that. But your band's going to want to have gigs. They're not just going to want to rehearse so you can hear yourself." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, can we get gigs?" And he's like, "Yep, we can get gigs." I said, "Okay, cool." So we rehearsed and we got the personnel and got everybody in and started playing gigs. It was really fun. And I had more time with him, and that was what I really wanted anyway. But
Yeah.
found out that I had this performing Jones I needed to feed, so that worked out well for me, both ways, and learned a
Yeah.
lot about how to work with others in music. And I already knew about how to work with people in healing. I've been doing healing for so long, and since
Yeah.
1986. So this is a whole new way for people to heal. It healed me. Blues is a healer. So we have a blues band,
Mm.
and we were invited to come play at, guess where? The Mississippi Valley Blues Festival.
Yes.
So full circle moment here. I'm on stage at the Blues Fest telling the
Wow.
audience about how I got there, and then sang the song Healing with the Blues to them that I sing every Tuesday when I do my live
Mm.
sessions, my live healing sessions in our Facebook group. And it was just such a magical, amazing thing. And then that later that year, my mentor in blues singing, Miss Gloria Hardiman, Alligator Records recording artist, look her up. Um, she said, Jimmy Carter, the last original blind boy of Alabama, not the president, a different Jimmy
Yeah.
Carter, said, he's a really good friend of mine. And I told him your story and he wants to meet you. And I said,
Oh,
really? She
wow.
said, yes. So we were invited to go have dinner with them before a show and went to the theater and spent time with them. And it was really just, I mean, who has that happen?
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
2021 was a big year. We had a lot of things going on. We had our 30th anniversary. We had this meeting with the blind boys that had happened a couple of years before, and I met with them again and have been meeting with them ever since, because when they come to Iowa, they know I'm here, and they come here and they go to Des Moines and they play in Davenport and Iowa City. They were just here at, we have a couple of major stages here in Iowa City. One is the Hampshire Auditorium, and the other one's the Englert Theater. And so they play both of those places, and we go have dinner with them and hang out. Two of the guys that are in there, Chuck, the road manager, and his brother Ricky, who sings, were both there the night I had my healing. So I feel very
Mm.
close. And
Yeah.
it turns out they live in the neighborhood next to where my son lives in Atlanta. It's just
Oh my
amazing. I'm getting
gosh.
goosebumps. So, like I'm
It just
telling
keeps
you,
going and going.
it does. It really does. It's
Yeah.
amazing. So we're very excited to have these connections with people that Source has brought us. God brings us to
Yeah.
the places where we need to be. If you just let it happen and you just keep saying, yeah,
Exactly.
that's where I want to be. I want to be there. So that's a couple of the
Wow.
things that happened. And when I started the band, I didn't know what I was doing, and I was really just following Ed's leading on this, and just tell me what to do and how do I tell them this. And he made me go to every blues jam that there was around us, which means that you're playing with people you've never met before, who don't know your song. Maybe so you got to pick something that everybody knows. This is why blues jams are fun, because it's a form where everybody kind of knows what it is. 12-bar blues, right? Repeat the two lines, repeat, then you do a little chorus, then it's very simple. You can play blues all over the world. People know it. And
Mm.
the healing that we see with this, the healing that people have with blues music is different from lots of other kinds of music, because you're singing about something maybe that happened to you, and they are relating to it because it happened to them. So now you feel like, oh, I'm not alone. Someone
Yeah.
else has had this tragic circumstance, and I can relate to this. And this is why we listen to sad songs after a breakup. This is, we want to release those feelings. And every time I do a lot of crying songs, Cry to Me, Cried Like a Baby, all these songs that are about crying. And I always say, crying is cleansing. So let those tears out. Don't
Yeah.
hold back. Don't hold your feelings back, because that's where dis-ease happens. And when dis-ease is left alone, it becomes disease. So
Exactly. I could
you
talk
want to
about
just,
that for a long time.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you know what I'm saying. She really knows.
Yeah.
It's amazing, because when we try to hold all that in, what does it do? It goes down into second chakra, down into to the pelvis, where we have our creative experience, where we feel the passion in our lives, and it shuts it off. It shuts it down. And so we have all of these low back problems and problems walking, and it's because our foundation has been compromised with these negative
Mhm.
feelings that we don't want to feel. Notice I said negative, not bad feelings, negative feelings.
Yeah,
If you stop judging whether your feelings are right or wrong or bad or good and just say
exactly.
they're negative and positive, that's all it is. And as we
Yeah.
do that, and the healing work that I do, we're constantly releasing those negative feelings so that we can move forward with ease, because holding them back doesn't help. So that's why healers work on themselves all the time,
Yes. Yeah.
always
It's
working on ourselves so
it
that we can be clear and receive the information that we need to get from source to help the people that we're working with. So it's very
yeah.
important. So singing blues is really important to me because it helps me get this stuff out.
I
So
love that there's so
worry,
many things about
yeah,
your
worry.
story. There's so many things in here that I was just like, "Oh, I wanna talk about that," but the thing that's jumping out at me right now is the importance, which I talk about this a lot, the importance of sharing your story. Like, look
Yeah,
at how what has become of you simply sharing your story. You're able to meet with these guys, but then you talk about how even in the songs, in the music, it's actually a form of people sharing their stories, and it's helping other people heal. And so it's such an important
yeah.
thing. I think we need to talk about it more. I think more people need to really take a look at it that way.
If you share your story, even if it's to your teddy bear, it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. What's important is that you start to look at it from a different point of view. And here's the point of view that I like, that feeds me. Nothing ever happens to me. It happens for
Mm.
me.
Yes.
Nothing ever happens to me. It happens for me. Does that mean
Yes.
it was right what happened? No. Doesn't mean it was right, but it was happening for me so I could learn something. If you're like, my motto is ABL, always be learning, not ABC, always be closing. Always be learning. Always be
Right.
learning. Yeah. Coffee is for learners. If you know that quote, coffee is for closers. Coffee is for learners.
Uh-oh. I think we're frozen. One of us. Is it me? Let's see if we come back here. I'm not sure if it's me or not. I will go ahead and talk until we can get Tanya back. Um, yeah, it's so important for you to share your story. And like she was saying, even if it's with a teddy bear, it's really about the emotions that are happening inside. It's really about allowing them to surface and letting them out in whatever form feels good to you and whatever form feels healing to you. I'm a journaler, and so I write down a lot of things in my journal. And so we have lost her. Let's see if she can hop back in. Um, so I write a lot of things down in my journal, and that's part of my healing. That's my story. When I share my story now, it all started with me journaling about how I wanted to share my story. Here she is. She's back.
Here I am. Oh my
Yay.
gosh, what happened? We were
The
both gone.
Wi-Fi. Yeah. Who knows?
Yes, technology is so much fun, isn't it, everybody? No.
Oh
I
my
mean, I
goodness.
do a
Yes.
lot of healing with people online, and we just have to roll with it because I don't have any control over Wi-Fi. I don't know. I mean, I
Right.
know a lot of things, but I don't know that. So we just have to be
Yeah,
able to roll with it.
exactly.
It happens.
Exactly.
I
I
do. So
love
there.
how you have taken something that was so traumatic that and you said, and I totally agree, Tony Robbins, life is happening for us. I never would have chosen to fall and land on my face and break my neck. You never would have chosen to have a stillbirth child. But the path that the learning from those experiences have helped us gain and the path that we're on now, oh my gosh, I never would have thought that my life would be this because of that experience that I never would have chosen. And so I feel like you probably I think we've lost her again. I think she's frozen again. At any rate, that is the message I want to send, that I never like I said, I never would have chosen to live life with a broken neck. That was not something on my radar that I wanted to do or to accomplish, but because of that, I have learned so much about life and about myself, and now I'm able to help more people than I ever would have before in a classroom or as a social worker. And so I think it's so important to be able to switch our perspective to that, to say that that I am looking at life from a different perspective because it's allowing me to get where I need to be. And it's not what I might have chosen for myself, but it's taking me to the place I want it to be. And so, are we back? Are you back,
Yeah, I'm
Tanya?
back.
Okay.
I think that a lot of times people think of perfection as a end point, but here's what I want to challenge you to think of it as a verb. I'm being perfected. I'm in the middle of perfection. I'm being perfected. So it's not about like getting to some endpoint. It's about the journey of what happens. How do I get perfected? How do I rub those hard edges off? How do I get sanded down so I'm nice and smooth? How do the things that are happening in my life affect me? And how can I accept them so that it's easier for me to move through life? You know, one of the things that happened to us is we got really tired of feeling grief. We got really tired of being sad. And a friend of ours came
Bad.
over and he had just had his teeth worked on and he was in a lot of pain. And we were so glad to see him because somebody needed us and we could
Oh,
help him.
yeah.
And then another time we were watching television, just laying around the house watching TV, and a commercial came on that said, "There's nothing worse than a yeast infection." And we went, "Oh, well, thank God we didn't have that. That's all we had was a stillborn baby, and there's nothing worse than that than a yeast infection, so we didn't have that." So it just made us
Yeah.
laugh out loud and get really silly. It was just it's amazing the things that people will say to you. So for those of you who are in grief, people were going to say terrible things to you. They're going to say things that you find so offensive. And just remember, they don't know how to talk to you about it. They just don't know what they're
Yeah.
saying. Like somebody said to me, "Well, God needed an angel." I'm like, God can make an angel. So I'm not too worried about my
Right.
son
Yeah.
having to be an angel for crying out loud.
Yeah.
But that was one of the milder things people said. I had also people say, "Well, it wasn't like you were really a mom."
Oh
I was like,
gosh.
"Yeah, I was." And one of the things that really
Mm.
struck me was a friend of mine brought a balloon to our memorial service for Eddie that said, "It's a boy." And I was like, "Thank you for
Mm.
remembering that I had a baby boy, that I had that baby." It
Yeah.
wasn't just all about his death, it was about the life that we had together for 9 months, 9 months and 10 days. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm.
it's it's one of those things where I just went, okay, well, this is a big deal. I'm being knocked over the head by the 2x4 of harsh reality here. God, what do you want me to know? That's a really good prompt for
Yeah.
journal entries, by the way. What do you want me to know
Yeah.
today? And just let the writing happen because you're being spoken to all the time. You're
Yes.
being given messages constantly. And, it's easy for us to shut them out. We have so many things to distract us. And your own mind will do it too. Oh, well, you're not good
Mhm.
enough and you're not smart enough and you don't have enough initials after your name and all that stuff that you're not right somehow.
Yeah.
You are right. You're being perfected. You're right.
Yeah.
You're already right. And God loves you no matter what. And the love is there. And if you don't believe in God, that's okay. Energy is there. Energy is in every cell, molecule, and atom and all the space in between. You could call it
Right.
God if you want. I call it source energy because it's the energy that everything comes from. And energy can't be created or destroyed, it can only change shape. So that means it's all good. So I have a favorite quote, and it's count it all joy. Because,
Mm,
judging everything being good or bad is exhausting. It's really tiring.
right.
You don't have to keep doing that.
Yeah.
It's not
And
important.
it's right. And it's, I love this. This is why you and I resonate so deeply because you're saying lots of things I have even put in my book, because it's like that's just
Hmm.
part of who I am. But, that's part of
Hmm.
my philosophy with polishing the mirror is
Yeah.
being able to go inside to see and become familiar with your authentic self, that soul that is in there, that is in each one of us, so that you can better understand and hear the messages that it's trying to send you. Because just as you said, it's communicating with us all the time. We either don't know how to recognize it, or we recognize it and we ignore it because it makes us uncomfortable. But that's the uncomfortableness is where we have to go to get to the life that we really want to live. And so I love
And
that.
everybody is a reflection of what you're seeing yourself in yourself. So if there's people that annoy you, guess who the annoying one is? It's something
Yeah.
in you that's recognizing that. So, they say when you point one finger forward, there's three pointing back. There's one pointing up too, if you do it like that. So remember that thumb going up.
Well, that's
It's
true. On
important.
camera, true.
It's important to remember that because you're not you're not in charge of everything. You don't have to be. You can resign from being manager of the universe, by the way, because the world will still continue to spin. We've seen that with the eclipse, right? The world
Oh,
continues to spin. It
yeah.
doesn't matter if it's lit or not lit. And
Yeah.
if you're interested in really deep down feeling what you're feeling, listen to some blues music. Listen to some really sad music. There's all kinds of blues. There's happy blues, there's sad blues, there's sexy blues, there's I'm gonna get you blues, there's sarcastic blues. There's all kinds of blues music. It's not all sad. So you could give it another listen and see, what's there for you. I was starting to sing Worried Blues before, and that's a really great tune because blues didn't start off with music, with instruments. It started off with people working and trying to make their work go faster or feel less intense, right?
Mm,
Because it started with slavery. So we want to acknowledge that people used music to move themselves forward,
yeah.
like actually forward. So
Yeah.
worried blues, worried blues, you don't know my mind. Worried blues, you don't know my mind. 'Cause when you see me laughing, I'm laughing to keep from crying.
Beautiful. Oh, it gets me, Tanya. You got me. You always
I
get
got you
me.
again. I
Oh,
got you
you got me
again.
again. Oh, well, I want you to share with everyone how people can get in touch with you, what you help with. Like you do so many things, which I have scheduled many times with you, and oh my gosh, every time it's like I'm a bawling mess, but it's in such a good way. So tell everybody a little bit
Okay, so
about
put
how
in
to
my
get a hold of you.
yeah, I'm putting this in the chat. You can go to quantumhealinginternational.com. You can go to healingwiththeblues.com. I'm putting that in here too. So the quantum healing is about chiropractic and energy work and resources that I have that are there for you for free. It's also about some of the programs that I do. And then Healing with the Blues is about the story that I just told. And also there's band stuff on there. So our dates where we're playing and personnel, and there's a few videos there. You can go to youtube.com/, Dr. Tanya English. I think that's right. And you can watch videos there that I put up. Like if Amy sends me this video, I'll put it up on YouTube so you can watch it. And also, we have a private Facebook group. Now, in this private group, I do a healing session every Tuesday morning and on the 1st and on the 15th. So I'm going to put that in there too. Let me just get the link for it. when we're doing the healing sessions in the group, what happens is I ask people to participate. Now people are funny about participation, and I talk about this all the time. You can get so much more when you participate. You can get so much more out of life.
It's
Sitting
true.
in the front of the
Yeah.
class, you're going to get the better learning than you are if you sit in the back. I've done both. It's fun
Yeah.
to sit in the back and pass notes, but sitting in the front, you're going to get more of the information.
Right.
Um, when we're doing the Healing with the Blues group, it says grief support and tools for women. We have men in that group too, but mostly women are going to seek that out. So that's why I have that on there. And also, I do a lot of tapping, emotional freedom technique. And one of the things that I do when I'm working with people individually is I do bioenergetic synchronization technique. Now, that's a technique for clearing subconscious emotional memories. These subconscious emotional memories are memories that are put into the brain, basically, with intense emotion or chronic emotion. Good example of that is if you live with an abuser. Every time the abuser comes in, you can hear their footsteps. Your body goes into fight or flight response. So these two kinds of ways, like receiving bad news or having an accident or something like that, intense emotion, chronic intense emotion, will create a pattern of physiology that then becomes subconscious. So now it's like a super highway and it happens so fast you don't even know it's happening, faster than that. So your
Mm.
body starts doing the physiology for the intense emotional experience, but because it's subconscious, you don't even really feel it anymore. It's sort of like if you're going to the grocery store, you're driving, are you thinking about what you're going to get at the store or you think about driving? Which one do you think about? Think
Yeah.
about what you're going to get at the store, right? You're not thinking about
Mhm.
driving. It's become a subconscious pattern that you can do without really
Yeah.
thinking about it. So that happens to emotions too. And why is that important? Because emotions are running your physiology all the time. Your
Yes.
emotions are running your physiology. So every emotion that you have, positive or negative, it has its own qualities of physiology. It's like a suit of physiology. And I have a chart here that I use that I muscle test and find what's the feeling that the body's doing that will interrupt this pattern that's creating dis-ease, subconscious emotional memory override. It's overriding present time. This is PTSD. This is post traumatic stress. It's because the body's doing something subconsciously. You're not aware of it. You get hit by a red car when you're a kid. Every time you see a red car, your body will do the physiology. Do you notice this
Yeah.
huge path that's so fast you can't stop it? It's subconscious. You don't even know it's happening. So, what we do is go in and clear the subconscious of these patterns. And it's really pretty simple, but you have to know how to do it. And so I teach all my clients and my patients some techniques that they can use themselves to help them get back to center, back to I'm here now, present time,
Yes.
where there's nothing going on.
I
I
have used
highly recommend, yeah, go ahead.
the things you have taught me, the things you have taught me in our sessions, I use all the time. I use them to clear
Mhm.
things all the
Yeah.
time, and I can't tell you the difference. I just feel so much lighter. I feel so much more
Mhm.
clear-headed, like I can think clearer, and I feel like, okay, I can see things from a totally different perspective after you get all of that stuff out of the way.
Yeah, it really changes the way that you encounter the world. So when you're in fight or flight response, and it doesn't matter if it's subconscious, I'm going to sneeze. It doesn't matter if it's subconscious or you're really in it. You can bring yourself back to center pretty quickly, but if you don't know how to do it, then it takes hours to come back. That's why EMT
Right.
workers have a 10-year shorter life expectancy. Because here's what happens in your body when you go into fight or flight. Your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, your digestion shuts off, your immune system shuts off. You can't think clearly. You can't be creative. Think about it. you can't do anything creative when you're worried about your survival, when you're trying to survive. Think of those people that are in war-torn countries right now. They're just trying to survive the next day. So they can't make great decisions because they're in fight or flight response. All of these refugees that we see around the world are stuck in fight or flight response until and unless someone shows them how to get out of it. So that's something that, we think about bringing people food and bringing people, medicine, but they need to come out of stress too, because the stress response is
Yes,
creating all this negative physiology. And
exactly.
if you leave that alone, what's going to happen? You're going to get sick. Your immune system is shut
Right.
off. It's easier to get sick. So you want to
Yeah.
put your immune system back online. Here, I'll just give you a really simple example of this. You know how they say you should wait half an hour after you eat before you go swimming? Why is
Mhm.
that? Because when you're digesting food, all the blood is going to your innards to digest the food and put the nutrients where they need to go and get rid of the waste products. When your digestion is shut off, you can't eat. You can't digest your food. When you're in fight or
Mm.
flight, it's all about staying alive. So all the blood goes to your large muscle groups, your shoulders, for your arms, your legs. It's not in the middle. It's not helping here. It's moving. This is what happens. Rest, digest, and heal, blood here. Fight or flight, blood out here. It's just the way your body works. It's not a fault. It's not a blame. There's nothing you have to um, hurt yourself about or hold yourself a grudge about because it's just your physiology. You're a human being. It's going to happen. I was just working with a
Right.
patient the other day who was dealing with cancer. She's a young woman. And I said, "How are you feeling?" She said, "I can't hold anything down. I try to take, good supplements and I try to eat good food and I can't. I just throw it right back up again." So we started doing some emotional freedom techniques, some tapping, and we did a whole script about being left alone as a baby. And
Mm.
I said after that, I said, how are you doing? She goes, "My stomach feels more settled than it has in days." This is
Wow.
what I'm talking about. This
Yeah.
is helping people heal. Do you think she's glad that I taught her how to do tapping? I even recorded
Yeah.
it for her. Said, "I want you to do this a couple more times before I see you again. You need to keep tapping on this." A lot of child abuse happens and people grow up and we don't know. They're walking around out there. They don't know that they have some way of dealing with this. They're
Right.
out doing stuff that's hurting themselves, hurting someone else because they're hurt. And people don't need to do that. So I feel like the more people I can teach this to, the better. So all y'all who
Yes.
are watching this or listening to this, please find someone. If it's not me, find someone to teach you these techniques because it's going to help you. And it's not difficult. I mean, a child can do
Yeah.
it. We do it for children
Mhm.
too. I have little girls that come in for chiropractic care, and I teach them how to tap. Just tap right here before the game. All is well. I'm safe. This is going to be great. I'm so excited. We change our language about it. Instead of saying I'm nervous and I'm scared, we say I'm excited. Big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
think the
there's
thing I want to really make people aware of is what you and this modality do is help people become more aware of their bodies and ways that you can help your own body heal. That when we put the body in an environment that is healing, it will heal itself. People marvel at the way I have been able to heal from my last neck surgery. And although I
mm-hmm.
don't share it a lot because a lot of people don't understand it, but this is one of the reasons because I understand when my body is in a state and I put it in an environment where it can heal, it
Yeah.
does. But we have to know that information first. And that's exactly what you do. You help educate people
Hey,
that this is possible.
here's the thing. Do you have any paper cuts that haven't healed yet? No, they all heal. You know what you do when you get a paper cut? Put your finger in your mouth. Why do you put your finger in your mouth? There's enzymes in your saliva that help it heal. That's why you put your finger in your mouth. That's why you don't have scars from all the paper cuts, because your body heals. And it heals really fast if you get out of the way and let it do its work. So sometimes we have to
Yes.
get our physiology lined up with present time so it can do that. We think paper cut, no big deal. That'll heal in the next hour. No kidding. It really will. I
Yeah,
mean, you're in this.
exactly.
I said to Ed this morning, I'm like, isn't it weird that we live in these things and we don't know anything about them? Like we know a
Yes.
fraction of what they do, and we're living in them.
Yeah.
Your body is
Yeah.
part of you, right? But you don't know that much about it. And here's what I'm going to tell you: you can't learn everything about your body. I mean, I've
Mhm.
taken years and years of anatomy and physiology, and I know a fraction. And I only know the stuff that I was taught. Somebody else who studied it from a different angle knows only what they were taught. So when a medical doctor says there's nothing more we can do, what they're really saying is there's nothing more I can do.
Exactly.
You need to go
Exactly.
find somebody else. Here, let me give you some names. They won't ever do
I
that.
have
They'll
lived
never do
that.
that.
Yes.
I
That's
know
my
you
story
have.
right
It's
there.
like, forget it. You don't know every, and the reason why
Yeah.
they say that is it's called CYA class. We
Yeah.
call it CYA, cover your ass, because you don't want to get
Mhm.
sued. The hospital doesn't want to get sued, so they're going to do all the tests. They're not going to look at what really is going on with your gut because they don't do the gut thing. They don't like they don't take uh, your they don't take your bodily fluids and really look at them. They look at
Yeah.
blood.
Mhm.
They look at urine. They don't look at your poop ever. And that's the stuff
Yeah.
that you really need to see because it's coming out of you. What about other fluids? What about cerebral spinal fluid? They'll go in there and take that. They'll do a spinal tap on you.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the thing. You know about that.
I
The
do.
epidural. Don't do that. But here's the thing. That's very archaic. And it's not quantum, and you're a quantum being. This is why we talk about quantum healing. I know people are like, what's that mean? A quantum leap is a very small change that changes everything. It's an electron moving from one area of probability to another, and that changes what the element is. Oh, there's two electrons. Oh, that changes it even more. So when you have these changes that happen that are really, really small, like the tapping, it's really small, but it changes everything.
Yes.
So that's why we call it quantum healing. We're healing on that subatomic level. And how
Mm.
do you do a
So
double
good.
blind study on that? You can't do a double
Yeah.
blind study on it because if you do a double blind study on it, the observer is changing what's observed. So there's no way
Exactly.
you can do a double blind study
Oh, oh my
because I
goodness.
just say,
There's
well,
so
it's a
much.
particle.
I
Well, it's a
I
wave.
could
Well, it's a
literally
particle.
talk to you for days about this. Oh my gosh, there's just so much because, like I said, I learned something from you every time we chat. You're always dropping these wisdom nuggets, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have to go sit with that and really absorb it. So I'm going to be sure and share all of your links in the
Thank
show notes and in the
you.
description so that people can find you because if you're watching or listening, you want to find Dr. Tanya. I'm telling you, like she's made such a huge difference in my life and taught me a lot about how to put my body into a state where it can heal itself. And so I'm happy. I'd love to be able to share that with you today.
Yay.
And I'm so
Yeah,
honored
that's
that
so
you
great.
were here. And thank you so much, Tanya. I love you and appreciate you
Welcome.
so, so much.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you. I love what you're doing and you're really helping people understand. I mean, who does what Amy does? I have a broken neck. Let me see how I could heal it. And I'm like, when she told me the story, I was like, this is such a failure on the part of our so-called healthcare system. I can't even begin to tell you. And
Yeah.
now look at you. You look so happy and so great. And I love the picture you put up with you and your son recently, and I was just like,
Mm.
ah, that's warming my heart. I just love to see it. Love to
Oh,
see you doing
thank
so
you
well.
so much. Oh, thank you. It's I like my book. Like you're gonna love my book because there's so much more in there that you don't even know about.
No,
Like even my
I can't
parents were
wait.
like, "What?" But yeah, there's so much to it. I will.
Parents are like that a lot, though.
That's true. It is available now, by the way. My book is available
Yay!
now. I'll put the link there, or you can just go to Amazon and search my name. and find it. So I'm so excited that it's available. I'm so excited to get it out. The people who have read it so far, I have gotten such great reviews, and that it's helping people. And I'm just so honored, to be able
So
to take this
great.
and use it in a way that's helping people. So, oh my gosh. Thank you again for being here, Tanya. Thank you all for listening and for watching. And if you have found this helpful at all, which I know you have, please share it. Please give us a 5-star rating on the podcasting platform so that this message can reach more people, because that's what we're about. We're just about sharing this information to be able to help more people. And so we need your help to do that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Any last words before we help off here, Dr. Tanya?
Yeah, there's always treasure in tragedy. If you look for it,
Mm,
seek and you'll find. Ask yourself, what are you seeking? Am I seeking the joy? Am I seeking the love? Am I seeking the healing? Because you're going to find what you're looking for.
I love that. So true. Oh my gosh. So many wisdom nuggets. Aha. All
Have to
right,
trademark
Tanya.
the whole thing.
There you go. You should. All right. Thank you again. And I'll be back next week with another episode. All right. Bye bye.